Afternoon. It's I don't know. It's almost 2 o'clock on a Wednesday here on a rainy. I mean, it's kind of warm. It's a weird November day in Northeast Ohio because it's warm and rainy in November. I don't really understand this weather, but it's whatever. Anyway, I'm your host, of the sports show with no name. I'm Chad Bryan. This is your other host. That's Ben Bales. Ben, what's going on, man?
Nothing much. Just, you know, watching sports. NFL trade deadline just happened. Some interesting trades went down.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, for real. Some big names moved. To some not weird places. I mean, really where you'd expect. Just not the names that I expected to go to those places. The
I
position was right, just the name was
yeah.
off. I thought that was weird a couple times. I think the Browns may have begun, um, unfortunately, what a lot of people think may be the beginning of their. I don't want to call it a fire sale, but listen, they're going to have to some extent, they're going to have to tear it down and rebuild it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they sent Zadarius Smith to the Lions for a couple late round picks, and you just kind of have to feel like it's not the Browns giving up. It's just I don't know. I mean, you've got a 2-7 team. I don't have any of the answers on how to fix it. Jameis Winston looked really good in his first start, but then it was like the other shoe. We talked about it, right? Like the other shoe was going to drop at any moment because a lot of those balls, well, at least 3 could have been picked off and were dropped by the Ravens.
Yep.
And then the Chargers did not drop those
Nope.
passes, and they picked 3 off. And it's the night and day that we talked about with Jameis Winston. And now, you kind of feel a little bit down. I mean, I don't think anybody expected the Browns to go on a run and make the playoffs with Jameis
No.
Winston, but not after starting 2-6 or
No.
1-6, really.
I saw a crazy stat. There's 9 teams right now tied with 2 wins.
Yeah, yeah. What is going on with that?
And it's all going to come down to say all these teams finish the same amount of wins, right?
Yeah.
Say it miraculously happens.
Mm-hmm.
Then I forget how it's decided, but as of right now, the Browns would have the 7th pick or the 5th or it's either the 5th, 6th, or 7th pick. So that means
Okay.
you'd miss out on Cam Ward, you'd miss out on Travis Hunter, you'd miss out on all these top tier players that everybody's saying, "Oh, come to Cleveland," and it's like, well, that happens, and it's like, do you just take the best available player?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think so. At that point, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you take a quarterback just to take a quarterback. I mean, I think you got to take. Yeah.
If it's not one of the top rated quarterbacks, I don't think you, like you said, I don't think you just take a quarterback to take a quarterback.
No, I don't think the Browns need a project at quarterback right now. I don't think that's what they're looking for.
No.
Yeah, they're not in the Falcons, draft Michael Penix Jr. situation or anything. They're in a weird spot, and we can talk about that a little bit. Anyway, I just wanted to say a little bit about this episode. Today we're calling it the Fall Free for All Part 1, because we're hoping to have a Part 2 here. I think maybe a little closer to Thanksgiving, kind of leading up to Thanksgiving. I like to do that this time of year. I like to kind of just wind down, and sometimes it's to take the time to reflect on just things that we're thankful for in sports. Sometimes it's just to not have like a strict schedule and notes that we have to follow for the show. We have to stay on topic. Sometimes it's just nice to sit down and have a conversation, just talk about sports. So if you are watching at home and you're live with us, you can feel free to comment. We'll hey, if you want to bring up a topic, we can talk about whatever. I don't really have anything planned for the day. We're just going to kind of get into some main things. Don't really have headlines planned, but one headline that we would want to talk about, Brunswick, the football pro. We've been following them, pretty much all year, and kind of letting you guys know what's going on with Brunswick. They did fall to Massillon Jackson in their first round playoff game. They fell 24-3. But listen, I thought it looks like the defense played really nicely in this one. I know they had a couple of early turnovers that I think they kind of spelled doom for Brunswick a little bit early on. But I mean, you look ahead to next year, and I think there's a lot of positives really to take away from this year, and to kind of move into year 2 of Cole Carter being the head coach there, and really showing signs of turning the program around and injecting some life.
For sure. I mean,
that's what you want to see.
Like you said off camera, I mean, he's got these guys believing they can beat anybody.
Yeah.
And that's and like you said, football's tough. I mean, we dealt with injuries all year long, and when you're dealing with injuries, it's so hard to keep afloat and keep everybody believing, because you get all these injuries, and not just because not saying you don't have the backups to compete, but when you lose your top players at each position, it's hard to keep competing over and over. But Like every single kid that was put out there was incredible. Played their hearts off, played their butts off. I mean, they truly wanted it this year, and I mean, all credit to Cole. I mean, he had those kids believing that they could beat anybody this year.
Yeah, that's awesome to see. I mean, it takes a special personality, I think, to come in and to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Especially with such a big program. I mean, Brunswick, like we've talked about before, Division I, Region I. I mean,
Yeah.
Big football program. So
it's the heart of Ohio football. Division
Yeah.
I, Region I. I mean,
Truly.
that's your Edge, that's your Ignatius's, that's your all those schools, and I mean, it's
heavy hitters. Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, okay, I got a question for you. Do you think they should go back to the 18 playoff or the 16 in high school?
Listen, I'm never going to be upset about kids getting a chance to play one more game, man. One more chance to throw the helmet and the shoulder pads on because, the reality is, most of these kids that are playing are never going to play again.
Yeah.
Not because, it's not personal. I don't know if they're good enough or not. I'm just saying, that's just the way it goes. Like a lot of kids just don't go on to college and play. So the percentage is so low. No, I'm never mad about kids getting one more chance to throw on
I
shoulder
feel you
pads.
because like I've heard people on the radio talking about like how they should take it back down to 8. 16 is just it doesn't make sense, and it's like like you said, it's like if you give these kids one more chance, tell them, hey, you got one more shot to prove something.
Yeah,
something's gonna happen eventually.
You never know. I remember I was in middle school, and I grew up around Midwest Ohio, and Coldwater one year. Coldwater. Everybody knows Coldwater. The program. I mean, the athletic program is unbelievable at Coldwater, right? Across the board, boys, girls, athletics are unbelievable at Coldwater. I remember one year the basketball used to play 20 games in the regular season, and Coldwater's varsity team went 4-16 in the regular season, and then they ripped off a win streak right through the tournament and went all the way to the state semifinals. Ended up losing in the state semis. But man, you just never know. I mean, when you give kids a chance and you give them some time to come together and you put their backs against the wall a little bit, you never know how they're going to respond. And I don't know. It just feels a little. I mean, I know we had some teams kind of, maybe not want to run into Marion local, and maybe some teams didn't appreciate that spot. But I feel like there's always a team out there that's going to, the kids want to play one more game. They want to put the helmet and shoulder pads on one more time and get on the bus and go somewhere and have one more trip together. And, for some of those kids, it's the last time they're ever going to do anything like that in their lives, man. And I'd hate to take it away from them because, we think 16 teams is too many in the playoffs, or we don't like a 1-9 team, whatever. Cares, you know what I mean? Like, give them one more chance. So no, I'll never be an advocate of less teams. I'll always say more teams.
Nope, I agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So high school football playoffs. We can talk next week. We'll get into. I don't want to get into any of the matchups right now. I mean, I'm. We can talk about it next week. We can talk about results, and as we get a little bit closer, we can talk about some of the. Well, we know some of the favorites, but we'll see how some of the favorites are hanging in. Ben, you brought up, we talked about it a little bit on camera. We talked about it off camera. The trade deadline was pretty crazy in the NFL, honestly. Nothing really unexpected as far as, what teams traded for what position. It was just the names surprised me.
Yeah, the one that got me the most was actually the second guy the Steelers traded for, Preston Smith.
Okay.
Because obviously, you got TJ Watt, you got Highsmith, and you got Nick Herbig, right? I mean, those are your big three.
Yeah.
But then you add a guy like Preston Smith as your fourth. Like, he's gonna you might see TJ Watt resting more, which could then mean he's more healthy. He's more frequently able to get to the quarterback. Because there's some drives this year. There's some drives this year where he's out there on every single play. Like, I saw a stat. He's played over 340 snaps this year.
Wow.
And we're only in what, week 7, 8?
The wear and tear. It's not like, I mean, he's a really physical guy. He's not taking plays off,
No. I bring that up because PFF, out of those 340 snaps, he's only had a negative grade on 6 defensive snaps.
Wow.
So it's like, it'd be cool to go back and see like what plays he was graded on like a defensive snap for and see like what the play was.
Yeah.
But like, I think
what a negative play. Is it a run for a gain of 2? Is that a negative play? Like, what is that? You know what I mean?
Like, I like the Mike Williams trade because we need the receiver to go along with George Pickens.
Yeah.
I mean, we've known that since the season started.
Russ has looked good enough. I mean, giving him another target is never going to be a bad thing right now. I think that's good. Yeah.
Since you traded Deontay Johnson in the offseason, when we need another target, we need another receiver.
Yeah.
But the the Preston Smith one kind of shocked me a little bit because I heard nothing about us going after an outside, going at trying to get an edge rusher.
Yeah,
But
you were so shocked you can't even say it. You can't even get it
right,
out. Yeah, I get it.
but I like it. I mean, he's older, but he's one of those guys that he's older, but he's still good. Like when he's out there, like you're still gonna have to respect who he is. Because
Yeah.
I mean, 5 years ago he's coming off a 12.5 sack season.
Yeah, well, and the reality is TJ Watt takes a lot of double teams and triple teams and, things, and you got a guy on the other side that can maybe hopefully go make a play when Watt commands all that
Yeah.
attention. You texted me about it, and I was like, I truly don't know a lot about him. Like, I was in this
Yeah.
weird spot where I was like, I just don't know a ton about Preston Smith. But yeah,
Yeah.
I looked up a little
I
bit last
mean,
night. Yeah.
the one that shocked me the most was Marshawn Lattimore to the Commanders.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I get it.
I mean, it doesn't really shock me. I mean, yeah, the Commanders.
It didn't shock me because I knew the Commanders were going to be looking for a corner, right? A
Yeah.
good cover corner. I just didn't think it was going to be Marshawn Lattimore.
Me neither.
Nobody expected the Saints to bottom out like this either.
No. I mean, dude, the Saints started 2-0.
Yeah.
Okay, the last teams to start 2-0 and score 91 points in their first 2 games, both teams made the Super Bowl. The
That's
Saints
so
started
weird.
2-0 with 91 points scored, and then they lose 7 in a row.
Who are the other teams?
The Saints and the Colts.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
The Saints did it with the year Drew Brees won a Super Bowl,
Okay.
and then the year the Colts won it. I think the first time Peyton Manning won it with the Colts.
Okay. Wow. That's bizarre because, I mean, that's elite. I mean, that's as elite of quarterback play as it gets.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And then you start 2-0, and everybody's like, oh, Super Bowl. Like, their odds jumped up to, like, third, and then they start losing 7 in a row, and you're like, yeah, that was a fluke.
Ah, man. Yeah, that's weird. That's a weird thing. Yeah, Saints
And
really fell off.
I
That whole division's weird, though, again. I don't know.
I saw another crazy stat, too, that it was the average amount of losses for a quarterback through, like, their first so many seasons.
Yeah.
Through 3 seasons, it's David Carr. 4 seasons, it's David Carr. 5 seasons, it's David Carr. 6 seasons, it's Derek. 7's Derek. 8's Derek. 9's Derek and Archie. And if he loses one more this year, it's Derek Carr in season 10.
Listen, the one thing you get out of the Carr family is consistent quarterback play. I'm not saying good or bad. I'm just saying it's consistent. You can track it, right? It's trackable. It's trackable. We like numbers because they're trackable. We're sports guys. We like stats. Stats make things trackable. The Carrs are very, unfortunately, trackable.
And Derek Carr could also become the first quarterback to lose to all 32 NFL teams.
That would be amazing. He's got a chance. They play the Raiders. They play. Yeah. He's got a chance. You're right.
Yeah, they play the Raiders later this year, and he's lost to 31 teams.
Oh my gosh,
dude! How does he? He's like Kirk Cousins. How does he keep getting these big contracts?
I don't know, but it's things like that when I hear them that make me feel more accomplished because I have lost to 0 NFL franchises. I have 0 losses to any NFL franchise. He's got 31 franchises he's lost to. Almost every franchise in the NFL. That makes me feel better.
It's crazy, though, dude. I don't know how he keeps getting away with it.
Man, speaking of a free for all, I mean that's
right.
How the Carrs keep getting quarterback job. That's wild. I think that tells you something. And that listen, the fact that he's still in the league, and the fact that I just lost you, tells me that you're going to be a black screen on my stream. Or I'm going to hide you until you come back. Anyway, we were talking about so many teams with 2 losses across the board in the NFL. I don't know why that is, but I have a sneaking suspicion that if you looked it up, I would bet you would see that it's due to quarterback play. Again, I haven't looked into the numbers, but it just seems like the teams with the elite quarterbacks find a way to win, right? They keep finding a way to win, except for the Steelers. The Steelers are. I'm completely confused by the Steelers. I don't understand. We're gonna get Ben back in here. Hey, thanks for leaving me in my moment of need there.
What were you saying about
I was just talking about you mentioned all the teams with 2 losses, and I had gotten to that because we talked about elite quarterback play, and then I started thinking like, okay, well, the teams that are losing games, or not the team with 2 losses, the teams with 2 wins, rather. All those teams with only 2 wins in the NFL, I would think it probably falls back on quarterback play, doesn't it? I mean, I haven't looked it up.
I feel like most of it does, but and then I just think the crazy part is like you look at Pittsburgh, right? Like you were 4-2 with Justin Fields.
Yeah, and that's what I said. That was my example, except for Pittsburgh, which is the outlier. I don't understand how they keep winning with their quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's like wild. You were 4-2 with Justin Fields, had no reason to bench him. No. But I get Mike Tomlin's reasoning of doing it to see what you have, to see if you need to stick with Fields or to see if you can roll with Russell Wilson.
I don't think anybody should question Mike Tomlin as far as what he sees on that field and on that
No.
roster. I mean, he's got the track record. He's fine.
And I just think it, like you said though, like I mean, obviously you look at Carolina, right? Bryce Young's not good. He's not great.
No,
Andy Dalton's
he's not even good. I mean,
Andy
yeah.
Dalton's not what he used to be.
No. Yeah,
You look
time.
at the Saints. I mean, yeah, Derek Carr's played okay. I mean, yeah, he was hurt. I mean, you had Spencer Rattler for a couple starts.
Well, now Michael Thomas would disagree with you. Speaking of the Carr family, and
I saw that.
whew, that was a little bit of a scale.
again,
That was like reading a scathing Amazon review from like an official account. I was like,
It
wow,
was.
okay.
It was. But
Yeesh.
again, Michael Thomas is in the league, so I don't know how much say people are going to believe, but
Okay.
but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how these trades work out because like the Lions, obviously you need a DN now that Aiden Hutchinson's out, and Darius Smith has been playing pretty well for the Browns this year.
And wait, real quick, you mentioned the Lions. I don't know if you've noticed. I kind of was paying attention to like Lions social media, right? Like I wanted to see like how do they feel about getting Zadarius Smith. I mean, I'm sure they thought they were getting any other number of defensive ends that would have been available right now. But they got Zadarius Smith. He's a good player. He's good. I think he's a tough loss for the Browns. But they're forced to. Well, we talked about all the dead cap. I mean, they're forced to do things. They're going to have to.
You had to make a move.
Yeah, they're going to have to stockpile draft picks to try to build something because they've got to. It doesn't matter. Lions social media. I think the perception from a lot of Lions fans and just kind of floating around Lions social media is that Zadarius Smith is not happy to go to Detroit, and I don't think that because he tweeted SMH, shaking my head.
I saw that. Yeah.
I don't think that has anything to do with his destination. I don't think that was what it was about at all.
No.
I think it was just like, the plans that the Browns had this year completely fell through, bottomed out, tanked. And just, I think it was just a disappointing end to his time here in Cleveland.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't think it had anything to do with Detroit. So if you're watching, you're a Lions fan, I don't think Zadarius Smith tried to blow you guys up like that. I don't think that's what it was. I think he was just sort of was in shock that it ended this way here,
But at the same time, I think him going to that culture in Detroit, I think he's going to thrive in that culture.
You might see a resurgence from him. Yeah, and he's already a pretty good player here. Yeah.
Dude, I said it. I told my dad, I said,
ding.
When the Lions hired Dan Campbell, they weren't good.
No.
They didn't win. And then the second year, at the end of the year, they rattled off like 4 in a row.
Yep.
And I'm like, give it a couple of years. Like, Lions are going to be really, really good. Fast forward a couple of years, they are really, really good.
Yeah, here they are.
I saw a stat. They have more touchdowns. They have more touchdowns in their last 5 games than they do than Jared Goff has incompletions.
Yeah, they're really efficient right now.
That's crazy.
They're gonna be tough to slow down. I mean, they are getting the defensive end help that they need because now, if you've watched them, I mean, it's like opposing quarterbacks have had time to take a full lunch break, in the pocket. So hopefully, getting Zadarius Smith to help create some more, a little bit more pressure from the outside, and kind of get them. He's not going to be Aiden Hutchinson. That was an unfortunate injury, by the way. I mean, you hate to see stuff like that happen to anyone, but man, on a guy that's playing so well for a team that's going so good, like you really hated to see that. But they'll get Zadarius Smith in there. Hopefully, he can make a difference. It'd be nice to see, one of our boys as Browns feel like maybe he'll go on to the Super Bowl and win one.
Right.
That'd be cool. I don't know.
Okay,
any other trades you wanted to mention, or any other trades going on?
Not that I can think of, but I do want to say something that I heard on the radio the other day.
Okay.
It was on 92.3 The Fan.
Okay. Shout out 92.3 The Fan. Odyssey. There you go.
It was, who was it? I think it was Nick Wilson.
Okay.
It was Nick Wilson and his new partner, because him and Dustin Fox no longer does it. He stepped off the radio.
Yes.
But Nick Wilson.
Jonathan Peterlin is in there full time. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah, I think he replaced him. Yeah, he
does a good job. He does a great job. They all do a great job. I mean, there's the reason there's a reson they're on the air, right?
Yeah, they were arguing about giving Nick Chubb the ball on 3rd and 3 when he's averaging like 2.7 yards a carry.
Yeah,
and I can see both their points. I don't know if you heard the argument or not. I'm not going to get.
I didn't, but I can already see what both points are going to be, and I get both sides of this. Yeah.
Like I don't want to I'm not trying to throw anybody in the bus, but it's like it was basically like one of them was arguing like you still give Nick Chubb the ball because of who he is and his his accolades and his who he was, and
But
one of
that's
them's
giving him
like,
the ball because of who he was, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
but then one of them
Yeah.
was like, well, yeah, but right now he's statistically the worst running back in the NFL, and
Yeah.
it's like, how long? Like Jerome Ford's averaging 5.4 yards a carry, and he had 2 carries against the Chargers.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
I don't think they were. I don't think they're going to move the ball very much in the running game against the Chargers, no matter who was back there.
I don't either, but still at the same time, though, like Jerome Ford's averaging 5 yards a carry.
Yeah, yeah.
That's 2 carries and it's a first down.
Behind an offensive line that's been patched together. I mean,
Yeah.
they're trying to find things there. Do
And,
you think a
okay,
lot of that for? Do you think some of that for Chubb is just is it mental, like just trying to get over the?
I don't know if it's mental as
Because
much
there's got to
as
be a little bit of a mental holdup for
Oh,
him
there
to go into a
there definitely
pile with
has
that
to
knee and plant his foot, and
there definitely has to, but I think
you know,
a lot of it is hadn't played in a while.
Yeah.
And just trying to get back up to full speed.
that's fair. Yeah, just taking
But
contact and getting used to that and hitting the holes at the same speed that
yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it's tough.
And another thing I want to ask, is Nick Chubb still with the Browns going into next year?
I hope so. I really hope so.
I do too, but you can't. It's hard to fix an offensive line
I
in
know.
one season.
I know.
Like,
I mean, I've talked about it on numerous different occasions. You know, a lot of guys on this roster just deserve better, right? It's unfortunate what's happened to them. It's not.
it is.
It was unforeseeable, but at the same time, you know, we talked about it in the offseason. Like you kind of saw it coming. I just didn't know it would be this bad. Like,
Yeah.
I thought maybe, you know, they would take a step back and lose, you know, 9 or 10 games. I didn't think they'd take a step back and lose their quarterback for basically 2 years. Lose the, you know, the complete ability to Ryan Michael said, "What's up? What's up there? What's going on?" Yeah, I just didn't think you know, I don't know. I didn't think it would bottom out like this. I mean, you're looking at a tear down and rebuild. We've talked about the expiring contracts. The Darius Smith is already gone. You've got time, you know, to make moves, I think, before the draft.
For sure.
How many moves can you make to put yourself back in a situation where you're
I don't know.
above water? I don't know if you can do it.
I don't know. I think it all depends on who your quarterback is next year, because like you said, you're not just going to draft the quarterback to draft the quarterback.
No.
And
It's
you're
likely
paying
not going to be Winston. He's likely not coming
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
And you're paying Deshaun Watson $72.9 million. So if you don't get a top 3 pick and you don't get Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, you're gonna have to either roll with DTR or Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna want to pay
At
another
that point,
free
you
agent
just give
quarterback.
it over to DTR and just let him have a season. And I mean, but
I
that also feels like you're spinning your wheels. And nothing personal, right? He hasn't shown that he has the propensity to be able to play quarterback consistently in this league and win games, right? Like you need a quarterback to go win a game for you when you need it.
But here's the devil's advocate, though.
Okay.
This year's quarterback class is not as good as next year's.
Okay. Yeah.
So
that's fair. Yeah. I'm thinking of 2 names are on the same team right now. Yeah.
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 Wait, who are you thinking of?
Quinn Ewers, Arch Manning.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a situation there.
But I mean, or even if you're the Browns, like you said, like I think Quinn Ewers comes out this year.
A lot of it depends on how you feel about Jackson Dart. A guy like Jackson Dart, he's one of those guys that I think could be like a Patrick Mahomes, where he shows like these flashes in college and then he bottoms out. I think he could be a more consistent NFL quarterback.
Yeah, but like my dad said, I think it's like maybe next year, even if you do start Deshaun Watson for next year, right? Even if you're halfway decent.
Well, but when's he going to be back? I mean, listen, with an Achilles, there's no guarantee that he's going to be back. He got hurt in what, weeks? 7.
He's supposed to be back in August.
Okay,
that's what they're saying. So he's supposed to be ready in time for training camp.
Okay.
So
we'll see.
I told my dad, I said, if he's ready by training camp, I said your week 1 starter for the Cleveland Browns will be Deshaun Watson.
But then you're going to be right back in the same situation that you're in with Nick Chubb. You're going to be worried every time he goes to plant his foot and go. The whole fan base is going to go, and it's not that he was playing well before he got hurt. I mean, they just have to put him out there because they're paying him so much, don't they? That's it.
That's my dad said it. He's like, if I was the Browns, he goes, I just pay him the money and say stay at home.
You can't trade him.
No, because nobody's gonna want to absorb that $72.9 million.
No, and the Browns better do a deep search on that roster and see if they have a guy that someone's willing to give 3 first-rounders for. I don't know. They really outbid themselves, I think.
At what point, like, I know no Browns fan is going to want to hear this, or I might get hate for it, but at what point do you think about trading Myles Garrett?
I mean, I think you have to consider it. It depends. Listen, if a team comes to you and overwhelms you in this, hey, we'll give you, 3 first rounds, a second round, and whatever, a conditional third round pick. Yeah. I mean, come on. I get it. Like, everyone wants to build around Myles Garrett, but you've attempted to build around Myles Garrett for what feels like 3 decades now. And it's not doing anything. It's not getting it done. They've shown some flashes on defense. They've had some stretches where they've been really good. They've had some stretches where they've looked like maybe the best defense in the league, right? For 2 or 3, 4 games. And then they'll have a stretch for 3 or 4 games where they look like they're one of the bottom 5 defenses in the league. So, and I listen, nothing personal against Myles Garrett, but I feel like Myles Garrett, I've told you this before, it's just my opinion. He just feels like I don't know that he's physically checking out or whatever, or mentally checking out. I don't know what it is. It just feels like he takes more plays off than TJ Watt. I feel like TJ Watt's always in the mix. And Myles Garrett puts up really good stats and like really fast and furious stretches. He had 3 sacks and I think like 5 plays against the Chargers, right? But then he never got home again, And I don't know, man. I just feel like TJ Watt disrupts more.
Like
Myles Garrett makes some great plays, but TJ Watt disrupts a whole offensive game plan.
Like you said, I think like if a team comes to you and offers you something you cannot turn down, I feel like if you're the Browns, you have to take it because, like you said, you're in a bad spot where, if you're going to be middle of the pack, like that 5 to 7 wins for the next 2 years, you're not going to get a great quarterback.
No, you're just spinning your wheels, and you're going to be in the middle of the draft, and you're going to get. You should get starters in the first round, no problem. You'll get a starter. But it's like an outside linebacker here and a safety there, and it's fine. Those are pieces. Those are great. Yeah,
but
you do need a quarterback that can go win you games.
Yeah,
right. Like you gotta have
that's today's NFL. You're you can't win the ball. This isn't the 70s, 80s, 90s where you could hand the ball off to a running back and win the game. Like you need
look at the standings, and I bet I don't have it in front of me, but I bet if you look at all those 2-win teams, I bet if you look right now and you look at quarterback play and you really break it down. I would bet you that's the reason for the 2.
If I can pull it up, NFL.
Let's do it.
NFL standings. So Miami's 2-6, bad quarterback play.
Okay, well, Tua's been out all year and hurt.
Tua's been out, but still, he hasn't been great.
No, he's been okay. Yeah.
New England 2-7, Jacoby Brissett and Drake May.
Yeah.
Cleveland 2-7, Deshaun Watson.
If they had bad quarterback play in Cleveland, I don't know.
Maybe. Tennessee 2-6, Will Levis is a meme. We know that.
Yeah. I mean, the best thing he has going on is the Mayo sponsorship, right?
Yeah. Jacksonville 2-7. Trevor Lawrence has been awful.
Yep. Different
Las
Clemson
Vegas.
quarterback. Yeah, different Clemson guy.
Las Vegas 2-7, bad quarterback play.
There you go. So it holds up.
Let's look at the National League. Giants 2-7. Daniel Jones hasn't. The Chiefs have won 2 Super Bowls in the time period Daniel Jones has thrown 2 touchdowns at MetLife Stadium.
Listen, I think Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck got married again and divorced again in the time since he's thrown his last 2, right?
Probably did.
I think so.
So you look at the Giants, 2-7, bad quarterback play. Carolina, 2-7, bad quarterback play.
Awful quarterback play.
And then the Saints.
Andy Dalton's trying. Bless his heart. Yeah.
And then the Saints, 2-7, bad quarterback play.
Oh.
So yeah, it checks out.
Okay. Well, there it is. Wow, I didn't expect it to be that cement. That concrete or that cemented. But wow, that was really there. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. If you have a bad quarterback, you're a bad team. If you have a good quarterback, you're a good team. If you have a great quarterback, you're a great team.
And like,
if you fair?
If you look at the teams that are average, like you look at Tampa Bay, 4-5, right? I mean, Baker's not elite. He's average. He's not elite.
Yeah.
Right. Like
he's been playing pretty well. He had 2 really good receivers until they both got hurt within about 10 minutes of each other.
Did. You look at Washington. I mean, Jaden Daniels, that dude's a stud. Whew. That dude came out of college, and that dude is balling.
Unbelievable. And why does that happen? How is it that happens? Is that on Jaden Daniels? Is that the organization? Is that coaching? What happened?
I think it's coaching. I truly do, because I think you have Dan Quinn, who players love. They respect Dan Quinn, right?
Yeah. Well, Dan Campbell too, but Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn. But he came in and he told Jaden Daniels that he wants him to be a quarterback first, a runner second. Kind of like teams did with Lamar Jackson, right? Like you have the athletic ability to make plays with your legs.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, but he was telling me like, hey, we need you to make plays with your arms. In the
Yeah.
NFL, you
Keep
can't
your
just
eyes
win games with
downfield,
your
but
legs.
also remember that you have legs. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Sure.
I think what Cliff Kingsbury is doing with his offense is he's simplifying the game for Jaden Daniels, but
Okay.
it's still very complex for other defenses to defend. And
Okay.
he's able to complete passes at a high rate, score a lot of points. And I think as he gets more experience, you're going to see more and more like complex plays.
I think if you give a young quarterback, sometimes you talk about giving them like a 2-route read system where it's like you don't have to go through 5 guys, right? Like you don't
Nope.
do that as a young quarterback. You want to slow the game down and not give them too much. So you give them like a 2-route, but if you change the 2 routes, right? And they know on, hey, this formation, this play, whatever, you got. I think that's a little bit, at least that's challenging for a defense if he's not
Yeah.
always staring down the same receivers. So maybe there's something to that. I haven't watched that closely to see what's going on with the Commanders. I keep seeing the highlights and I see the stats and the numbers are amazing.
This week scares me with Pittsburgh because we play the Commanders.
Yeah, listen, they're probably going to win that division.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you're sitting at 7-2 right now.
Yeah,
Philadelphia's 6-2.
yeah.
But I mean, it's
Well,
definitely
and with
those
a rookie
two.
quarterback, you can always see regression. Like things can
Yeah.
always happen. Sometimes, usually not in the same. Usually it's a sophomore year type of a thing. It's
Yeah.
a second year, type of thing. But you never know. You get enough film on the guy, and maybe somebody picks up something, and a defensive coordinator kind of quote unquote figures it out, and they go at him and they slow him
Yeah.
down for a couple weeks. But I don't know. They're on fire.
I
right
mean,
now.
dude,
They're
how are
great.
the Chiefs? How are the Chiefs undefeated though? Like,
Well, let me ask you. So, how many guys on the field at a time for a football? 11 guys, right?
yeah,
So that's 11 on 11. How many officials?
isn't it 6?
I don't know. But listen, when you have almost every official, listen, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, man. But for
No,
some
go ahead
reason,
and say it. I know where you're going. Go ahead and say it.
I'm
Go
just
ahead
going
and
to
say
say it this way. For some reason, officials must get really nervous knowing that Taylor Swift's eyes are down there or up there in the press box staring down at him. Because, man, calls just start going the Chiefs' way. It's magical. It's magical.
No,
I can't explain it.
I feel you. It's like when you play the Chiefs. It's like you're playing against the referees as well.
I mean, right.
Like I say, I post it every year. I haven't done it yet this year. I have a feeling I'm going to do it Christmas when the Steelers play the Chiefs and we get screwed over. But every year I post on Snapchat saying that we get it, NFL. You guys, Patrick Mahomes can't lose because if he
You
does,
love
the
Chiefs.
NFL is
We
going to
get it.
riot.
Right. Yeah,
like
something happened. Right.
Like
It's weird. It's weird.
like,
And
I
I'm not
saw
a conspiracy theorist. I don't even have a dog in the fight, right? They haven't played my team. I don't know. Like, I don't
Dude, I
care
saw-
if they win or lose. I don't dislike the Chiefs. I like Patrick Mahomes. I like Travis Kelce. I have no problem with the Chiefs at all. I don't care. I don't get mad at a team for consistently winning,
No.
whatever. It might get a little boring to see them there year after year, but that's the goal. I mean, that's
It
what you're
is.
supposed to do.
But like you said, like you look at these Patriots teams too, like
Yeah.
they weren't even getting like these kind of like favorable calls. Like a lot of times it was the
Well,
Patriots against the referees as well.
There was the Tuck rule. I mean,
There was. Okay, but but I mean like as
that
consistent as
catapulted the Patriots. That was the
it
first
did.
one.
But like as consistent as the Chiefs are getting it, Patrick
No,
Mahomes
it's
has
wild.
the most overturned interceptions in the NFL due to penalties.
Yeah. Right.
Like if he didn't have all these interceptions overturned, he would be leading the NFL in interceptions in the last 3 seasons.
Right.
That's how crazy it is.
And Jameis Winston would say, "Hold my beer. I can do
Right.
one better."
And but the play I saw that set up the game-winning rush by Pacheco, their right tackle false started.
Mhm.
It was a clear false start,
yeah,
and they didn't call it.
Yep.
It's like
And you can't review. It's not reviewable. So
no, and I don't
why
know,
is that
like,
not reviewable? I mean, that's not really a judgment call. If it's plainly obvious that a guy
Yeah.
moves before the snap, shouldn't you, as a head coach, be able to throw the challenge flag and say,
Like-
"Hey, the tackle moved, man"? Like,
Dude, like I saw the clip, and it said, "Isn't this a false start?" And I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at like the left side of the line. I don't see anything. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch this again.
mhm.
I look at like the receivers. I'm like, okay, I don't see anything there. And
Yeah.
then he posted a video to the right of it with it circled. I'm like, okay, let's watch this. The guy leans back, then the ball snapped, and then everybody takes off, and you're like,
yeah.
that wasn't called.
There was one of those. Ohio State had one of those not called on Saturday, and depending on which side of that you're on, they beat Penn State. Ryan Day picks up his first win in quite some time against a top 5 team. It was good to see.
It was.
But they held on in spite of themselves. I mean, let's not, everyone, they played a complete game and they dominated. Not really. Defense was good, but the offense wasn't great in this one, right? The pick
No.
six, the 10-0 start wasn't great. But they battled back and they showed some resolve and they showed some passion. And I think that's, hopefully that'll make Zach Boring happy. But
going
yeah,
back to
listen. Go ahead. Fine.
I was gonna say, just like you said, it wasn't a complete game by any means. I mean, you start that pick six Will Howard threw was atrocious. That ball was terrible.
It was pretty bad.
Pretty bad. But like you said, I mean, the defense hunkered down, didn't give up a point again until like the fourth quarter or something like that.
Yeah.
You're able to score some touchdowns.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know if you guys watched. I mean, the college ball playoff rankings came out last night.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State right now is currently number 2 in the country.
Yeah.
So we'd host a home playoff game.
Yeah. They'd be the 5 seed. Yeah.
Obviously, if you're Ohio State, you want to shoot for that. You want to shoot for that 1 seed to beat Oregon, so you get that first round bye. You can get guys healthy.
And that sounds confusing. If you don't know the college football playoff, and we say, well, they're at number 2, that means they'd have a 5 seed. No, that sounds weird. You have to win you have to be one of the 4 power conference winners to get the 1 through 4 seeds.
Yep.
And have that bye. So that's why. Just look up you can search, CFP, whatever, 2024, 2020 rules, and it'll show you. It shows you all the seeding and everything. Actually, the website does a pretty good job. I don't have that website right on hand, but if you search it, I'm sure you'll get right to the college football playoff website. It explains all those rules to you. So
it was weird because like BYU is ranked 9th in the country, but they're the 4th seed because they're leading the Big 12.
Right. And if they don't win if they don't win the Big 12, they'd likely end up maybe like if they stay there, they'd get the 12 seed in the playoffs. It's so weird. Yeah, it's a weird thing.
Okay, but I wanted to ask you this. I heard people talking about on the radio yesterday, or not radio, but TV.
Okay.
Is 12 teams too much? Is it
no.
okay? Or let me put it this way: is it too many games for these college kids?
Maybe. I mean, when you put it that way, maybe. Maybe.
But then the counter argument I heard is
games.
That's the exact argument I heard is that the NFL plays 16 games.
Yeah.
So like anyways in college you're going from 12 to 16. So either way so now you're adding 1 more game, so they're playing 16 games anyways. If you don't get the first round bye.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I don't know. The conference championship, you got let's say you lose your conference championship, you play in the first round, so that's 13, that's 14. You play 17 games to get to the national title. You know what I mean?
Which would be the same as the NFL.
17th game.
Which would be the same as the NFL.
Yeah. So is that too much for guys? I don't know. I mean, you look at the purpose of what college is really about, right? It's to get an education. For some guys now with NIL and the transfer portal, it really is. It's a pre-tryout for the NFL, right? It's just it's pre-training camp for the draft stuff. They want to show against the best competition they can or whatever. I don't know. It's the old argument, like what's more important, right? Football or the education?
It is.
It depends on who you are. It depends on which side of that you're on, which side of the coin you're on. If you're going to if your guy's going to go to the NFL, you probably don't mind playing 15, 16, 17 games in the season because you're likely going to do that in a year or two anyway, right? If you're a guy that's just there to get your degree in, molecular biology, maybe you don't love having, 3 or 4 extra games now. But listen, all these guys are competitors. You play at the Division I level, you're a competitor. You want to play, right?
Yeah.
And you want to win. I don't think anybody's going to be sad about like going out there, but physically you wonder like, is it too much with CTE and all the head injuries and everything else? Concussions being what they are. I don't know. Again, this is one of those ones where I see both sides of the argument.
I do too. You mentioned transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys are big college football fans, I texted Chad this yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw the news, but Ryan Williams plans to enter the transfer portal at the end of the season.
I did not see this still. I still didn't see anything.
I even looked it up, and it's all over the internet that he plans to enter the transfer portal.
Why would he leave Alabama?
I don't know, but I texted you this. I said, could you imagine if he comes to Ohio State? You have Jeremiah Smith.
That's not fair.
Ryan Williams.
That's not fair.
Like, you'd have the 2 best receivers in the country.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think he should leave Alabama, but if he does, I feel like Ohio State's a good place for him to go.
Give Kalen DeBoer time to build something there. I think he's a special coach, and I think
he is.
He's just kind of getting his feet wet a little bit and getting used to that, the Alabama culture and getting used to that whole thing.
I also think if Bama loses 1 more game, though, I don't think you make the college ball playoff with 3 losses.
No, with 3 losses, probably not. So, I mean, they'd have to do something really special down the stretch.
Yeah. So like
with the loss of Vanderbilt, though, they're already behind the 8 ball.
Yeah. So like if you lose that game,
yeah,
I feel like Ryan Williams does enter the transfer portal because you have 3 losses.
Okay.
But I mean, I know you texted me. enough talking football. Let's go to the talk of the town right now in Cleveland. The Cleveland Cavaliers.
What is going on with the Cavs? Listen,
dude, whatever's going on, it's fun to watch. I enjoy it.
Amazing.
Kenny Atkinson might be the next coming of the next best head coach. Might be the next
Phil
Greg
Jackson
Popovich.
or something right now,
Maybe.
right? Like he's already tied the best start for a head coach at a new franchise at 8 straight wins,
Dude,
right? No, to start. I mean, listen. There's an interview with my buddy Rayshawn Gillette. It's up on the website. It's on not my website. Why do I keep saying website today? It's up on my YouTube channel, not website. I'm gonna have to get with Squarespace and get a website or something. I keep saying website. I'm gonna have to have one. Anyway, what I just I gave out a free. That was not. Yeah. What was that? That was free sponsorship. No free ads. Wish I could edit that out. Anyway, I'm kidding. No, but I got to do something. Anyway, yeah, I don't fully. I haven't watched enough to know like what the formula is, but check out the interview with my man Rayshawn, because listen, I said it in the interview. He's forgotten more basketball than I'll ever know. He's just one of those guys, man. He just knows basketball. So please check that out. I was going to play a little bit on the show today, but man, we're time's flying, and I don't want to. It's a 25-minute interview. I don't want to I don't want to put you on a 25-minute interview to watch on the show. But please go to my YouTube channel, click on it's Talking Cavs with Rayshawn Gillette from Gillette Productions. He's involved in so many exciting things too. He's actually working on a video vlog with DeJuan Jones right now. DeJuan Jones is just kind of going through just some of his experiences in and around Cleveland with the Browns, and more so off the field. The things that he's kind of experiencing being in Cleveland for his Browns career. So a bunch of exciting stuff that he's into, man. So please check him out. Again, go to that interview, click on that, watch that. It's 25 minutes long. A lot of insight there. I talked to him about, what we can expect out of Evan Mobley. If Mobley's, if his progression kind of, changes this year, if he's ready to take that next step and kind of be a leader for this team and get them over the hump and get the Cavs back to an NBA Finals. And, I asked him if Kenny Atkinson can get him there, and you'll have to check out the interview to see his answers on that. But yeah, the Cavs are,
dude, they're
unbelievable.
And like I talked about with my dad, like Kenny Atkinson got the job and then went to France to coach with the French national team.
Yeah.
So he didn't have much time to implement his system with these guys, right?
At all.
But
they're buying in.
They are, but like my dad said, like, how did their passing get this good in such a short amount of time? Because it's not just the guards too; it's everybody has this great interior passing. Like, you got guys making backdoor cuts with a window this small, and big men are bouncing that ball right through the window, and you're like, how did they do that?
Yeah, you can't tell me JB Bickerstaff didn't understand passing and backdoor cuts. Like,
oh no, he definitely did. Like,
it's just weird. You're right, but the change, like, it's night and day from the Cavs.
Like I told my dad, I said, it's like when they played the Pistons, JB Bickerstaff was probably like, where was this last year?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm sure. I think Bickerstaff looks at the Cavs and says that a lot about a lot of different things. Like,
yeah,
where was the healthy roster? Where was where were a lot of different things.
But
yeah.
What I like though is, like, it's not just always Donovan Mitchell having to save the Cavs. Like, against the Bucks on Monday, Darius Garland, 39 points, went toe-to-toe with Damian Lillard.
Yep.
And then, against Milwaukee on Saturday, Sam Merrill off the bench had 17 points, hit 5 threes.
Listen, they're doing a great job of just finding the open shot, and they're knocking it down when they get it. And they're playing better defense. They look more lively. They just, I don't know.
They do, and
they passed the eye test.
It was Niang and Thompson after their win against Milwaukee at home.
Yeah.
Austin Carr asked him what it is about Kenny Atkinson, and he basically said along the lines of, he lets us play. Like, he's not going to yell at them if they make a mistake.
Yep.
He's not going to get on them if they do something wrong. And I mean, Chad, from coming from, playing sports at a high level, when coaches just yell at you, it makes you mess up more. Because you know that if you mess up, you're more likely probably going to get benched or you're going to get pulled.
Yeah. What's the next thing I'm going to mess up here? Because I'm thinking about the last thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can get in, you can like get in a guy's face a little bit,
Yeah.
but it can come from a different place. Like I've had plenty of coaches where they yell at you and you walk away from the interaction going, okay, that coach wants me to be the absolute best. I get
Yeah.
it. I feel that. I get
And
it. Yeah.
like they said, they're like again, he basically says something along the lines of Kenny's okay with us messing up. He's okay
Yeah.
with us making mistakes, and as long as we learn from our own mistakes, he's okay with it.
Yeah.
And I
I think
think
you have
as
to
a
learn how to
coach,
recover. You're going to make mistakes. That's going to happen.
exactly. And I think as a coach, I think it's the best way to take it because, again, yes, they're professional athletes. They're the best athletes in that sport in the entire world, right?
Sure.
But they're
Not
still going to
perfect.
make mistakes. They're still
Yeah,
going to
not
mess
perfect.
up.
It's the same thing I tell my kids all the time. Listen, you're going to make mistakes, right?
Yep.
I'm not worried about being perfect on the front end. I'm worried about the solutions that you're able to find on the back end when
Yep.
you make mistakes. That's more important to me. So
Yep.
it's the same thing. I mean, it's like being a good parent. Being a good coach is so. I think it's so equal to being a good parent.
I
Like
agree with you.
the things that you need are there. They're consistent. It's patience. It's like the ability to teach and the ability to let someone learn, right? The ability to learn, you have to make mistakes. That's part
Yep.
of it. So yeah,
And
I agree with that. Yeah.
and I just so I mean, obviously, we might not have a bunch of soccer fans in here, but if we do, it's kind of like Columbus Crew's head coach.
Okay.
He he wants his players to make mistakes, to learn from them.
Yeah.
He encourages them that when they make a mistake to figure out what went wrong and how to fix it.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's what Kenny Atkinson is doing with the Cavs.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
like he
It's
wants
fair.
them to make mistakes. He wants them to be uncomfortable. So then when they get into those situations, they're like, okay, we've been here before. We know how to handle this. Like, let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
And I think part of it was, I don't know if you saw, but they went down to IMG Academy for their
Okay. Yeah.
training camp this year.
Yeah.
And he
Get
said
out
his
of town a little
reasoning
bit. Yeah.
he said his reasoning for it was to get them out of their comfort zone, to get them away
Mhm.
from home,
Yeah.
and so they could just spend time as a team, get chemistry, and so he could spend time with them and learn what they're good at, what they need to work on, and how they are outside of basketball. And
That works on a team without a bunch of like. So the Cavs. I mean, okay, Donovan Mitchell's a superstar.
yeah,
Don't
he's
get
a
me
superstar,
wrong.
but he cares
Evan
about winning.
Mobley's on his way, but they don't have like a LeBron James, right? Like
No.
Kenny Atkinson couldn't have come in here and taken a LeBron James led team to IMG Academy and said, "Hey, we're going to take a team trip." Like that wouldn't have worked, right?
Nope.
I think Kenny Atkinson needs a certain type of roster makeup to be successful and to get guys to buy in. And I talked. That's one of the things we talked about with Rayshawn on the interview. I don't think a big three situation is Kenny Atkinson's deal, right?
No.
Like he wants young guys with skill sets.
He's known for his development of players.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes into this
Well, they
team.
brought him here. Yeah.
Exactly. He comes into this team with a lot of, like you said, a lot of young players that have room to develop. Evan Mobley. Donovan Mitchell's still young. He's a superstar.
Yeah.
He's still got room to develop.
Absolutely.
Darius Garland, room to develop.
For
right?
sure. Yep.
Evan Mobley, room to develop.
Mm-hmm.
You have this roster that, like, your only real quote unquote, like, veteran is Tristan Thompson.
Yeah.
And he's there as basically just another coach.
Yeah.
Like, other than that, he's sticking with the thing I like about him the most too is no player on our team right now averages more than 30 minutes a game.
Okay.
The most is Donovan Mitchell with 29.6.
Okay.
So it's like he's playing 10 guys no matter what.
Yeah. Well, he has 10 guys to play. The knock on JB Bickerstaff was like the small rotations in the playoffs. Well, he didn't have 10 guys to put out there they could trust,
But I think at the same time, too, in the playoffs, it's like, okay, you're going to get those games where you need your starters longer, right?
Yeah.
Like you need your starters to go 30, 35, 36 minutes.
Yeah.
And they can't, right? But at the same time, there's going to be those games where your starters aren't playing well and you're going to need that life off the bench.
Yep.
And when your guys have played so many minutes all season, they come in and it's like they don't miss a beat.
Yeah, as a starter, when you have to go 40 minutes, so many nights down the stretch to even just sneak into a playoff or to get the seed that you want or whatever, the seed that you want.
Yeah.
I think it tears you down. It's a lot of wear and tear on your body, physically,
It is.
mentally, everything. So yeah, if you can load manage without load managing, I think that's great.
I saw, speaking of load management, or not speaking of load management, but go back to what you're saying about playing 40 minutes down the stretch.
Yeah.
And, taking a toll on your body. I saw an interview with Joakim Noah.
Okay.
He was talking about LeBron being in year 22 and how, he's still dominating at year 22 and still playing some of the best basketball ever.
Yep.
He's like, dude, he's like, I can barely walk to the bathroom.
It's
He's like, I hurt so bad. He's
yeah.
like, LeBron's out here in year 22, still dominating everybody.
You
And
know,
it's like, it's just crazy to, like you said, any sport, like any sport you
yeah.
play for a long period of time, baseball, football, basketball,
Mhm.
any sport, like going through those same motions every single day,
Yeah.
playing all, especially games that are like basketball, 48 minutes of
Yeah.
up and down the court, running up and down the court, football, getting hit by 350-pound dudes,
It's unreal.
baseball, playing
Yeah.
162 games a year. Granted, nobody
It's a
plays
grind.
162 games, but an
Some
everyday
guys do.
player,
Some guy
some
Matt
guys do.
Olson's up there. Matt Olson will play.
Matt
He'll
Olson,
give you
but
162.
but
Yeah.
average an MLB player plays around 130, 140 games a year. That's an
Right. And
everyday
it's
player.
understandable. It's a
Yeah,
grind. I mean, it's an
yeah.
absolute grind. Yeah.
And like you said, that mentally that's tough. Not only mentally, but
Yeah.
physically that's tough. And
Yeah.
the fact that like you got guys like LeBron in year 22 still dominating and showing no signs of slowing down. It's like what is he doing that's different than what everybody else could be doing?
I mean, the first thing is he has millions and millions and millions of dollars to take care of his body. That helps.
He
Okay.
does. But at the same time, it's like you're
Well,
telling me
I was
that
going to
like
say at the same time, I could spend that same amount of money to take care of my body, and I couldn't do what he's doing. Right? Yeah. You have to be built different.
yeah, I agree. And like I've said, and I don't say this to me, I don't say this to be funny or like make a joke, but like it makes you wonder like how athletic his dad really was.
Yeah.
Because he's got to get his genes from somewhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying that, like I said, I'm not saying this to be mean,
No.
funny, or
I
like,
get it. Yeah.
taking
I
any
mean, it
shots,
comes from somewhere. Sure.
but like, I don't think it comes from his mom, right? Like,
Yeah.
his mom had some rough times, right?
Yeah.
But like, it makes you wonder how athletic his dad truly was, because
Yeah.
he's 40 years old,
Yeah.
still dominating the NBA
Yep.
at 40 years old. Like,
I
this
mean,
makes you
he's an
wonder, like,
absolute freak of nature. Like
it
it's
makes you, like I said, and you're not just born with that kind of athletic ability. Nobody is. I'm like somebody in your family along the lines has to have some like obviously he's got athletic background, but it makes you wonder
Yep.
like where his came from.
right. Right.
Like
It's outlandish. I mean, what he's able to do physically is
it's
there. It's becoming to the point. I mean, there aren't words for it anymore,
no,
Ben.
it's
Like
just,
it's just unbelievable.
I just think like it's my dad said, I think LeBron's gonna go until he just gets tired of it.
Yeah.
Like he said,
I think playing a year with Bronny is going to be a big measuring stick for him.
I
think
agree. I agree.
I think kind of seeing him into the league and spending this year with him on the court and on the team bus and on the plane and whatever. I think that's really going to make him. I don't know. I've said this before. I think it's going to kind of put him at a crossroads. Like, okay, this is cool. I'm getting to spend this time with this one family member, but I also think having his family that close, having that family, it's going to remind him of the time he hasn't gotten to spend with his other family members.
And I agree. And
I think we could be closer to LeBron retiring than we want to be, or maybe some of us want to be. Listen, he still gets an unbelievable amount of unsolicited and unwarranted hate. I don't get that.
No, I agree. But like you said,
people just really can't stand to see a winner sometimes.
Yeah.
I think.
Like you said, I think we're closer to him retiring now than we are him not retiring. Like
you keep saying that, and it makes sense because he's 75 years old, but he just keeps going. Like it's unbelievable, and he keeps like he's playing at a high level.
It is. It makes you think that. Like now, I'm hearing rumors that he wants to play 1 year with Bryce. And like if that happens, dude, you're 42, 43 years. You're pushing 50. Like you're pushing that range where like you shouldn't be athletic. Like you're pushing that Tom Brady range.
Do we get into like now he wants to play with his grandkids? Like Bronny has a son. You know what I mean? Like is that I don't know. Man.
I don't know. I just like you say, it's just crazy that how long he's like dude was drafted the year I was born.
Unbelievable.
Like I've grown up with this dude playing basketball my whole life.
That's unbelievable.
Like when the day he retires, it's gonna be weird.
Yeah.
Because like he's been the
It'll be the first time in your life, your 22-year-old life, he hasn't been in the NBA.
Yep.
That's outlandish. I mean, it's
crazy. And it was like Big Ben too.
Yeah.
Because like I was born in 2000, Big Ben was drafted in 2004. So my whole life up until he retired in 2021, all I knew for Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback was Ben Roethlisberger. It's the only dude I knew. And
you barely knew two coaches.
Right? And it's like, and then like you said, once LeBron retires, I mean, what? Okay, I mean, Chad, what? You're almost 50, right? What are you, 45?
Yeah, don't tell people that. Yeah.
Sorry, but like almost half your life too.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like that's wild.
It doesn't make sense.
Like it's wild that like how long he's been playing.
No, it's like a true. It really is like a glitch in the matrix. Like it's one of those things I
It's
look at sometimes. I'm like, has that really been? And it sure has.
and
It
another one,
sure
Tom
has.
Brady. Like Tom
Yeah.
Brady was like he got drafted before my time, right? Like
Yep.
99. Like that's more of like when you were younger. Like he was there for like most of your lifespan. I was getting
Yeah.
to be LeBron for mine. And it's like, oh, dude, it's like, man,
Yeah. Tom
like
Brady was a great NFL quarterback for most of my adult life. I
like
mean,
that's wild.
for like
The
20 years,
longer,
like 2 decades. That's
yeah,
yeah.
like the longer these guys go, you're like, dude, like as the, like they're in year 23, and I'm like, man, like I feel old. Like I'm 21, and he's in year 21. I'm like, dude, I'm old.
It
Like,
helps soften the blow a little bit because I haven't seen so many of these guys come and go. Like
no, I
it's
feel you.
now we're
Yeah,
getting into like we're in this era where guys play a little bit longer.
yeah,
And say what you want. Maybe it's rule changes, whatever. I mean, quarterbacks are obviously a little more protected in the NFL. I don't know how you protect guys in the NBA. I mean, they don't really let them load manage anymore. You got to play so many games to be up for awards. You got to play 68 games,
yeah.
so they're out there. But yeah, I think we're just built a little bit differently as people, right?
And
We evolve, and I think we're
yeah,
just we're different
speaking
people.
of speaking of having to play so many games, do you see what happened with Joel Embiid?
No.
He got suspended 3 games for pushing a reporter.
Oh, no, I did hear about this. You're right.
Yeah,
I did. Okay, yeah, I did hear
yeah.
about this.
But
Yeah,
okay, I want to ask you. Obviously, yes, he's in the wrong, right? But
sure.
what the reporter said, like that is no business being said in an interview. Like like if you haven't, I'm not going to get into it. If you haven't watched it, go watch it or go
Yeah.
listen to it. But that is no business being like that. Dude needs his credentials stripped.
It
That
was
is no business being
pretty
said.
yeah, it was pretty personal and pretty shocking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that is no business being said in an NBA interview.
Listen, I don't know. I mean, is Jason Kelsey wrong for grabbing the guy's phone at Penn State and after
I
he
don't
made the
think so.
comments about Travis Kelsey?
I don't think so.
I,
But I
there's a
also
certain amount of things where like we can't keep defending the people who go up and poke and poke and poke and poke and poke. And when they finally get a reaction, you go, "Oh, well, sue the guy." I mean, you got the reaction, sue him. I mean, there has to be some accountability. Like you have to be
I
accountable for your own
I
actions. You can't just go poke the bear and expect to not get some type
I
of
feel you
response,
there.
right?
And like I mean, we all know who Jason Kelsey is. I mean, he's one of the
Mhm.
most well-respected guys in the NFL community.
Yeah,
He apologized on Monday Night Football
of course.
for his actions. He didn't
Yeah, and
have
he could
to.
have put out a statement
He could have. He could
on
have.
Twitter like everybody else does.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but he wanted to apologize, and like he said, he's like, "That's not who I am."
yeah,
But at the same time, I think he had all the rights in the world to do what he did.
yeah. I mean, I think you have the right to defend yourself. If someone's
Yep.
in your personal space saying things that are that offensive, right, just to get a reaction out of you, I don't think you're allowed to then get mad when you get the reaction. I just
Yep.
don't think that's the way it works. And he didn't physically assault the kid. Yeah, I mean his phone. Okay, his phone's cooked. I get it. It's toast. But
You were recording it. You were trying to get a reaction.
you play with fire, and sometimes you get
Yeah.
burnt, right?
And
Yeah.
and I've heard people saying, "Well, they weren't even going after him. They were going after his brother." So you're telling me somebody comes after your brother, you wouldn't defend him?
I mean, the thing is, you're in a public situation where a guy's able to walk up on you with his phone and heckle and heckle and heckle and get that kind of personal access to you. I think Kelsey more or less the reaction was just to show that, hey, that it's not going to happen here. This is my,
Yeah.
like back up, don't say certain things. And it's like the Penn State student that called James Franklin out after the game.
I
I
saw
don't know if you
that.
saw that. And then
I did.
Franklin was like, if you're gonna be such a man, what's your name? If you're gonna talk and
Yeah.
be a man, supposedly, what's your
Yes.
name? The kid
Yeah.
turned around and walked away.
Yep.
Because nobody wants to own up to it. Nobody wants to be a man and be
Nope.
accountable for their words or their actions or what they say or do. Or it's frustrating as a public figure
It is.
to have to just take it, right? Like that's not fair.
It is, and it's
Not fair.
it's one of those things too. It's like when like if I read to the point where like I'm interviewing players and stuff like that, it's always gonna be along the lines of like I'm never gonna get personal unless
No,
it's
there's
like
no reason to.
I'm never gonna get personal unless it's like something big happening. I'm like, hey, like you okay to talk about it? Like I'm never just
Yeah.
gonna throw it at
Off
them
the
without
record,
asking.
are we okay? If I ask you about
Yeah.
this, is this okay?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And if
Exactly.
they say no, I'm not gonna ask about it. But it's
Like
like
marriages, births of children, birthday, those things are off limits unless you have that
yeah,
you got to have that consent to bring those things up,
yeah,
I think, in
and
an interview
it's
or live or
I mean,
whatever.
Chad, like you said, or not like you said, but I don't know if you remember when we met Andre Knott. He's like,
Mhm.
it's how you approach guys in the locker room. He's like,
Of
if you
course.
walk up to him and just say, "Hey, I'm interviewing you and I'm asking you these, and these questions.
Yeah.
I'll see you later." A guy's
Right.
not going to give you the
Right.
response you want.
Hey,
If you walk
yeah,
up to him
listen,
and
I
say, "Hey,"
appreciate your time. this is what I had in mind. Does any of
Yeah.
this look like anything you don't want to address? Or I mean,
Yeah.
let me know. Give me notes, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not
And
here to make you look bad, right? I don't want to do that. I don't
exactly.
want to
Like
do
Andre
that. That's not my
said,
job.
he's like, yeah, he's like, if you come in there and you ask him, hey, can I interview you for 15 minutes,
Yeah.
like later on, and ask you, these questions if you're okay with them,
Yeah.
like you're gonna get a better response because
Of
you're
course.
more polite. You're not just saying, hey, you're coming for an interview and you're
Yeah.
answering these questions. They're gonna give you one-word answers.
Of course. Of course.
It's
Yeah.
I just
I mean,
think
it's
and
common sense.
dude,
You would think, you would hope that it's common sense, but
yeah, and the thing is
sometimes common sense isn't so common anymore, Ben.
it
I
isn't,
mean,
and that Joel Embiid article got published. The
yeah.
editor let it go through, got
Yeah.
published, and then
Well,
like 4 hours later, he took it down.
clicks, right? It doesn't matter. Okay, we can do the right thing later, but if we put it up initially, I overlooked it. I didn't say, look at all the attention, all the clicks.
Nope,
Um, it's kind of I don't like that part of this
I
media
don't
world
either.
that we live in, where it's all for the instant justification. I don't like that. What I do like is talking sports with you guys. I love talking sports with you, Ben. But somehow an hour has flown by. I would say we didn't get to everything we wanted to get to, but there was nothing we wanted to get to. We just want to sit down and talk sports today. And we're, like I said, we're going to do another one of these very, very soon. We hope to have some very special guests for that. Don't let the cat out of the bag on that. Just pay attention when you see the free for all, the fall free for all part 2. Know that we'll have some very special guests for you on that episode. Again, please go to my YouTube channel, not my website that I don't have. Go to my YouTube channel. It's where you're watching us right now. Click on Talking Cavs with Rayshawn Gillette. It's a great interview. He's going to give you some insight into what we can expect from Kenny Atkinson, Evan Mobley, and kind of that whole group of just questions that I had about, will Evan Mobley progress? Will the Cavs go 82-0? I asked him that. You can't wait for his answer on that one.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, of course they're going 82-0
right now.
Went through the playoffs, first team ever. But again, I'm going to get out of here because I have things to do. And Ben, I'm sure you have things to do. But Ben,
and I just want to say, if you're still watching, Mr. Covey, shout out to you. He texted me, told me tuned in. If you're watching, shout out. We know you're a big.
We appreciate you, Mr. Covey. We appreciate all of you watching. Anybody who's watching, anybody who's ever watched this, we appreciate you. We hope we can take care of our bodies to be out here for a couple of decades. I'll have to be in the cryo chamber after this. I'll be very sore. So Ben, if you got nothing, man, I'm going to get out of here.
I don't. Peace out.
Perfect.
See you later. Subscribe. Share it with your friends.
Please do. Yeah, and comment. Again, when we have these episodes, if there's something you guys want to talk about, put it in the comments. I'll throw it up and we'll answer your questions. We'll talk about your topics, whatever you want to do. But until then, we'll see you next time on the Sports Show with No Name. Bye, guys.
Peace.